It's that time again, guys. It is that time again. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to episode number 9 of what Stefan and I hope are, or is rather, your favorite baseball show, period. Not just on YouTube, but when it comes to baseball content, we hope that you guys are enjoying 27 outs just as much as we are. Of course, I'm Ivan alongside Stefan. Man, it's been a busy weekend. Listen, I don't want to be biased. I mean, you guys know where we come from, but I don't want to be biased. But I think even if I came from like a different part of the US right now, I think New York is where it's at right now. You got the Yankees rocking, the Mets, tough loss today, 10-zip, but they just came off of a 6-game winning streak. We're about to get into them in just a minute. But Stefan, before I carry on, I mean, what do you have to say? Because we were talking about some good stuff over the weekend.
So let me just explain to y'all what my weekend has been like. My weekend has been crazy because, as you know, weekends for the show is always crazy. You're always watching something. You always got different stuff going on. My takeaways from this weekend: the two best teams in baseball at this current moment both reside in New York City. And I don't even think it's a conversation at this point where we sit right now. The two best teams in baseball to me reside in New York City. And I know people are going to say the Braves and Texas, and that's all good. But the two most entertaining teams in baseball both reside in New York City right now.
So I'm glad you said that because that's going to take us right into the very first segment of today's show. But really quickly, guys, before we get into that, just a few seconds, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27ounce3c. And of course, if you are new here and you're watching us live right now on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you know of anybody else who's into baseball, maybe as much as the two of us, or even maybe as much as you are, share the link, share the videos, let them know about the full episodes. Let them know that they could meet us right here every Sunday at 8. We won't let you down.
You already know the drill.
So let's get right into it. The Mets, as you mentioned, Stefan, right now, you put your bias aside and said that the two best teams in Major League Baseball right now reside in New York. And I mean, clearly I have this jersey on, but in this case, we're going to show some love to the Mets. Like, listen, I wore a Mets jersey on last week's episode. By the way, we have bonus content coming out later this week. I wore, I think, another piece of Mets, clothing again for that episode. So,
all right, so we have a date. It's dropping Tuesday. So Tuesday, which is you're gonna get bonus content Tuesday. Then you're gonna get a show clip on Wednesday. So bonus content coming Tuesday. I want to say probably Tuesday afternoon. You know what I mean, depending on when the powers that be.
Here's the thing, though. Forget even telling them a time, Stefan. They could just do this. How about you just put your notifications on?
Talk about
if
it.
If you subscribe to the channel,
put
your notifications on.
Yep.
And when we drop, don't even give a damn because you're gonna find out regardless.
So and let me just tell y'all, when y'all get through with this bonus content, if y'all not running to your friends going, yo, I think I just heard the greatest piece of content I've ever heard in my life.
It's a good
one. We failed, y'all. Because we had fun making that.
Yeah, and different too. Like, honestly, but what Stefan and I talked about on that bonus content, it's something that you don't really hear any other baseball outlets covering. Not just that, but being able to talk about it in the way that we did. Like, I don't want to play spoiler, but you guys are really going to enjoy that one. Just know that.
It was incredible. I had a great time doing it. Honestly, we were on there longer than we should be. But enough rambling, bro. Let's get to it. Usually you don't want to ask me the questions and I give my thoughts, but I'm gonna flip it on you and I'm gonna ask you the question.
Oh, I have a lot to talk about when it comes to the
Mets. Let me just ask you this. We're gonna get to the Francisco Alvarez injury in a minute. Because to me, I think it changes everything, but we're going to get to that. Right now, as you saw what happened throughout this week, because now let's not be prisoner of the moment to say this weekend, but this entire week. How are you feeling about where the Mets are right now? How are you feeling about where they were before this? And if you're a Mets fan, should you have some cautious optimism? Because remember, we were the two that said we'd be surprised if this team won 80 games. And
Right.
so far, they're exceeding our expectations. So I ask you this. Where are you at with them right now?
So I'm going to give credit where credit is due, right? I'm going to be honest. Did I see the Mets eventually getting to a point where they would snap out of that? I think it was a 5 or 6 game losing streak that they started the season off with. I thought they were definitely better than that. And it happens, especially being from New York, cold weather. I mean, I know, the Yankees aren't making any excuses, but, not every player is the same. And a lot of guys, they get warm as the temperature gets warmer throughout the months. But yeah, I want to say I have the Mets, despite how good they've played. As I mentioned, they lost earlier today to the Dodgers, unfortunately. But again, they were just coming off of a 6-game winning streak. They seem like the complete opposite of how they began the season. But I'm going to be honest, Stefan, not just with you, but Mets fans who are tuning in and watching this right now. I have you guys in between that, if that makes sense. So I don't think you guys are as bad as you started the season, nor do I think that you guys are as good as you have been over the past week and a half, 2 weeks, I would say. Because let's be honest, early on, Francisco Lindor forgot what a baseball was. You threw one his way. He couldn't even touch it, even if he tried. A lot of guys were struggling. But, fast forward to just a few games later, and as I mentioned, 1, they looked like a better team. 2, I get it. They looked awful, but one thing that I want to keep in mind, and this is both good and bad, and I'm going to break it down for you. So I think the Mets being as good as they have been lately is amazing. Again, I don't believe they're that good, but we don't know when Kodai Senga is going to come back, but we're talking about their best pitcher being out for as long as he's been out thus far. And it's going to be quite some time because, Stefan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they put him on like the 60-day IL.
Yes.
Right. So he's going to be out longer than expected originally. And then you have J.D. Martinez, who, I mean, he's not bad for an everyday DH, but listen, J.D. Martinez was able to put up the numbers that he did last season with the Dodgers because he had a Mookie Betts to protect him. He had a Freddie Freeman. And that's not to discredit J.D. Martinez. I would love to see what else he has left in the tank. But for the Mets to really believe that those two guys, once they come on board, are going to be everything that they ever wished for, you might have something else coming your way.
While I'm going to take a different tack than you, it's not about whether they can sustain it or not. See, because this is the problem that I'm not saying you, I'm just saying everyone in general, including myself. I'm going to throw myself into the mix too, so it doesn't make it seem like I'm just throwing shots at you because it's not intended that way. We get too wrapped up in, can they sustain this? Can they make this work over the long haul? Can we? Now, how about we just enjoy the moment? We live in the moment. We live in the now, and we enjoy what's happening in front of us.
That's how they look now.
And it's not like they beat scrub teams. The 2 teams they beat, Pittsburgh, we talked about how highly I think about Pittsburgh, and we all know how I feel about them. I watch more Pirate games than a Pirate fan so far this season. I'm going to be honest with you, right? So the fact that the Mets, they went into Citi Field and the Mets took care of business the way that they did and the fashion in which they did, you got to give the Mets credit because, listen, when you start 0-5, brother, it's almost like the sky is falling. You know what I mean? 0-5, sky is falling. They got their first win on a doubleheader walk-off. It felt weird.
I wouldn't be surprised if the front office was already asking one another, where's Pete Alonso going? Like, do we get rid of him?
Right. So I guess the conversation now becomes, can we sustain? Listen, my whole thing is you should play a season in 20-game increments. So just look at it this way. Over the last 15 games, they're 12-3. Over the last 13 games, they're 10-3.
They're probably the best team in baseball.
Yeah, that's a 769 winning percentage, right? Since April 7th. So while I understand the need to say, can they sustain this? Can this be over? Can this be managed over the long term? How about we don't care about that? How about we care about the fact that Harrison Bader looks good as a Met?
Right.
How about we care about the fact that Francisco Lindor hit his first home run from the left side on Friday night?
It's
He's
about
looking
damn
like
time.
he's found some rhythm. How about we care about the fact that Starling Marte looks healthy and looks like he found the bat speed that we all thought he was coming to New York with?
Right.
How about we have conversations about how good that bullpen has been getting the ball to Edwin Diaz, Brooks Raley, Adam Ottavino? Those guys have done the job.
Yeah, so, and I think Severino has also looked like a decent pickup for them too.
He's looked good, and I got to be honest, Jose Quintana, he bends, but he doesn't break. He gives you quality starts. You get quality innings from the guy. Listen, we're going to come on here and we're going to tell you the truth. We're going to tell you how we feel about certain situations, right? We came on this show less than a month ago and said the Mets season already might be in the crap. Now, we're going to come on here and say, you know what? We might have written them off prematurely. Because honestly, if you're a Met fan, you don't care what it looks like 4 months from now. You don't even care what it looks like 2 days from now. Because you're going into San Francisco, and San Francisco hasn't been that good either. So if you could take 2 out of 3 from the Giants and come back off this trip 4-2, 4-2 off this trip, that's not a bad trip. Especially going out to the West Coast this early in the year, especially dealing with what they dealt with so far in terms of injuries and inconsistent play. Brett Beatty has a hamstring. Like I said, we're going to get to Francisco Alvarez. He's going to be down for at minimum 2 months. Like, we got to talk about how great of a start they've gotten off to and how much, if you're a Met fan, this is the kind of start you want. This is the kind of baseball you want to see them play. And listen, they're all motivated. Do you know why they're all motivated, bro? How many guys on that team are playing on 1-year contracts? Harrison Bader, Pete Alonso, Luis Severino.
Yeah, almost most of the guys I would say that they picked up this offseason were all via 1-year deals.
Right. So while I understand Reed Garrett is another guy. Thank you, Razor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I 20 game increments to me is you get to see what your team looks like, because everybody likes to go game to game. Baseball is like a continuous stew.
Yeah.
If you look at it every day, the stew ain't gonna change much. You might get a game here and there where you look like complete trash, and then you might get a game here and there where you look like world beaters.
But I feel like this goes for every single team, even the best teams in baseball, right? Which is how the Mets have been playing lately.
Right.
Losing is a part of the game.
So,
like, to really expect that the Mets were going to win like 20 out of 30 or 30 out of 40 games, at some point, it does end. But it's always a great sign just knowing what they're capable of doing.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. You got veterans all around, all in that clubhouse, bro. It's not like there's kids all up in there. You got veterans. Pete, veteran. Frankie, veteran.
Right. Starling
Marte, veteran. Harrison Bader, veteran. Luis Severino,
like Edwin
veteran.
Diaz is one.
Edwin Diaz at this point.
Jose Quintana, yeah.
Right? So think about this analogy. You're going to win 60 games. You're going to lose 60 games. But it's the other 40 games, 42 games, that you'll find out what type of team you got. So just plan, we're going to win 60, we're going to lose 60, and somewhere in the middle of that 40 is going to determine how good we are, right? So that's why I always say, I like when the team goes through adversity. You started on 5, but you got off the mat, right? And the one thing you like about the Mets is they've come back from large deficits. They've come back in the late innings. They've added on runs. They've been relentless in terms of their ability to make you feel like, oh, damn, we're not out of a game. You know, there was a game in Atlanta like a week ago where they were down 5-0. You look up, it's 6-5 Mets, and you're like, hold up.
Yeah.
You were just dead in the water.
Fight their way through games.
And that's the mark of a good team. Listen, is it a playoff team? I don't know. Who knows?
We'll have to see.
You know what I'm saying? But at least you like to know, you like to think of them as, you know what? They're at least going to be competitive. And credit got to go to David Stearns for everybody killing them. Oh, small market Stearns. He looks pretty damn smart right now.
Yeah.
So shout to him.
Right, right, right.
Um,
But yeah, what I also wanted you to speak on too as well, Stefan, before we show some of these comments. But
mhm,
um, I know it's early. As I mentioned before, we don't know when Kodai Singh is coming back. We
mhm,
don't know how, another year added on to JD Martinez's age is going to look for him. But
mhm,
we saw how they look recently. We saw how they started. When
mhm.
those guys come back, I mean, what are you expecting them to be
So I'm not expecting much from JD Martinez, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you hear about a guy dealing with a back injury,
at his
that
age?
automatically makes my panic bells go off. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa!
Right.
You didn't even get a chance to get a full workout, and your back is already giving you signs that, hey,
Sounds
yo,
like father time is knocking on the. Oh, well, they rang the doorbell.
they ain't ring.
JD just gotta open the door.
They ain't ring. They kicking them down. Yo, dog.
No, I wouldn't say that, bro. Let's give him a shot. Let's see him actually
Nah,
be
but
put in the lineup.
I understand that. But the reason why you keep getting setback after setback after setback after setback, and you can't even get on the field, I don't know if there's an optimal world where he gets on the field and he feels 100% at all
Right.
this year.
And that the bad thing about this too is it's not like the Mets are expecting JD to play the field. I mean, he's literally going to be a DH, nothing more, nothing less. So to hear that he can't even just pick up a bat and do that on a day-to-day basis, it's tough.
That's a tough thing. Also, let me just explain this too from this perspective, right? Kodai Senga, you know how I feel. Shoulder injuries are the death nail, bro. As soon as you hear something about a shoulder, the back of the shoulder, the teres major, the scapula, all these different parts of the shoulder, the moment we get to the back, I'm like, yo, nah. They'll be lucky if he pitches any significant amount of time this year.
Wow.
Until I see him get on the mound and go through a start and then feel good after the start, and you start to realize, I can bounce back. All this is good. You're throwing bullpens, you feel good. Once you get in your first rehab game, and then you get in your first major league game, and then you build up after
Right.
5 days, and then you do it again, and you keep doing it, then I'll feel comfortable. But until I see him get to his first 3-4 starts, I'm gonna be literally shaking with fear because
Yeah.
shoulders could go out just like that.
Yeah, because the reason why I bring up those two guys, and listen, I'm not even a Mets fan, but I love the sport, right? So I want to see Kodai Senga be at his best for the Mets, right? I want to see him go out there and still be their best pitcher. I want JD
Right.
Martinez to have, a JD Martinez like season where, you don't really see signs of him showing age or slowing down just yet. But
Mhm.
realistically speaking, we don't live in a perfect world, right? And to expect
Mhm.
both of them to do that, you're asking for a lot. You truly are. And,
Yeah,
I
man.
listen to other shows sometimes and I read comments under certain posts. And a lot of
Mhm.
Mets fans are like, yo, we're playing this good. Kodai's not even here yet. JD's not here yet. This guy's not even swinging as good as he usually does. And it's like, you guys are right. But to really expect all of that to work at the same exact time, listen, man, it's not even a baseball thing. It's just sports in general. Like to really expect this guy to do that, this guy to do that, that guy to do that doesn't always happen. It's almost like I feel like baseball, especially with the amount of players that are being used and
Mhm.
a 5-man rotation not being enough,
Yeah.
the 9 guys that you put out into the field, that not even being enough. I feel like it's almost as if at the start of a season, you're giving a puzzle where part of it has been put together, but there
Mhm.
are a bunch of random blanks that have to be filled in. And it's really just a matter of you figuring out what those pieces are to put it all
Mhm.
together.
I think that's the perfect analogy. I think that's the perfect way to put it. Also, here's the other thing. Yo, is it fair to say in the modern game you need 12 starters? Is
I
that
would say
fair?
so. I would
Is
say
that
so.
fair? Because everybody says, "Oh, we got 5, 6 starters." To me, in the modern game, you need about 12, 13
Yeah.
that could give you innings at some point during the year. Because here's the realistic part of it: people are going to get hurt. Pitchers, especially, are going to get hurt.
Right.
So if you're not prepared with at least 10 to 12 pitchers,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you're ready for a full season.
And you're
And
right too, Stefan, because when you say that, most teams probably have maybe one guy who throws perhaps not even 200 innings, right? There's really only a select few guys in Major League Baseball nowadays
yep,
who throw 200 innings. So let's say each team has one, even though not every team has one, but let's be nice enough and say each one has one, right?
mm-hmm.
Then you got four other guys. Those four other guys may not even get close to 200. You might top out at 150 with your number two.
Right.
Who's going to make up for all those innings that aren't being pitched? And it
Right.
can't just be the bullpen.
Right. Here's the other thing too, right? We get happy now if a guy throws a $140. If you get 140 innings, you're like, hold up.
Right.
Wait, you just threw a $140? Like, that's a cause for celebration.
And the crazy thing is too, and Major League Baseball, I don't recall them speaking on this just yet, but you could actually still be in contention for certain awards despite like not really being where you should be for your position.
Which is crazy. Please don't make me get on the soapbox and talk about how stupid the 65 game rule is in the NBA. That is the stupidest rule in the history of all right, I'm leaving it alone. Because if I start with the NBA, we're gonna have a whole show about the Knicks, and I don't think they came here for that.
Yo, honestly, listen, but we're gonna show the comments in just a couple of minutes. I want to say something in addition to that, Stefan. By the way, again, friendly reminder: make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. You'll get to see clips. You'll get to see breaking news. Everything. I've told you guys before. I get a lot of, if not all of my information from the 27 Outs Instagram page.
Right.
And of course, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. But anyway, speaking of the NBA and really quickly, we're gonna make it really short. I don't want to tap into like my inner Stephen A, man, but with how good the Mets have been, with how good the Knicks are looking, especially with how they looked yesterday, even though we know that they can look better.
All right, I'm stopping you.
Hold on.
Wait.
It's a damn shame. It's a damn shame that the skies are not lit up in orange and blue tonight. It's a damn shame.
Listen, I'm gonna stop you before you even get there. All right, I'm gonna stop you because listen. I'll say this, and then we got to talk about this Alvarez injury because I'm about to kill all the optimism I said Met fans should have. That was a good win last night. I'm good with that. I'm fine with that. But I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So let me just live in the moment like I'm telling you guys to do. One game is one game, but I need about 15 more of them things, and then I'll be a happy man.
If you're a Knicks fan, the slogan for this postseason run is one game at a time.
Yes. Talk about it.
Hashtag one game at a time.
Talk all the way about it. Anyway, speaking of one game at a time, I am just heartbroken for this young brother right here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the appropriate emotion to feel when I started describing what I heard when I heard what the injury was on Friday night. You're sick for him. You're sick for him. You're sick for the Mets organization. And you just hope that this is something he can get through, right? And I'm not talking about on a physical level, but you know how mentally draining it is to have to be away from the team. The team was playing well. You were playing well.
Right.
If you're Francisco Alvarez right now, you got to be down in the depths, bro. Like, you play. So let me ask you, if you're him, how are you dealing with this?
Right. Like you said, Stefan, if I'm Francisco Alvarez and knowing how good he looked for the Mets last season and being as excited as he himself is for what he has left in store to show the fan base. And the fan base also expects more out of him too. And he's an important role. Well, not role, but he has an important role, not just right now, but even moving forward. You know, guys like Francisco Lindor, Pete Alonso, Brandon Nimmo. I mean, we'll see with Pete Alonso, but I mention those guys because those are some of like the first names that come to mind when you think about the Mets lineup. But Francisco Alvarez, man, I think he's just as important, especially considering the fact that he's their everyday catcher. But the good sign is he's a young dude, right? And hopefully an injury like this isn't something that is going to tarnish anything moving forward. But like you said, Stefan, tough blow. They've already been dealing with other things. We talked about a couple of other players who haven't even put on the Mets uniform yet this year. So quick speedy recovery, I should say, for Francisco Alvarez and the Mets.
Well, I'm going to say this. I think their season just took a turn for the absolute worst because this
Damn.
guy's. I'm going to tell you why. You know how I feel about catchers. To me, catcher is the most important position on the field.
Right. Yeah, you've always said that.
You could throw Narvaez back there. You could throw Nito back there. You could throw them back there. They're going to be good defensively, right? But when you have pitchers that have built the rapport with a certain catcher, and it's like, this guy knows what I like to do in this situation. This guy, I don't even got to talk to him because at this point, he already knows what I like to do. Now Narvaez has to get caught up to be able to catch these guys on a day-in, day-out basis. Now, you're not going to get the offensive production you would from an Alvarez because Alvarez is a different type of dude.
Right.
That being said, you got to be like, damn, bro, like, now I got to learn a new catcher. He has to learn me on the fly because the season started. There's no redo. You know what I'm saying? So this is, I'm crushed for him and for Met fans. And listen, I think that loss was an emotional toll of losing this dude.
Could
like,
be.
Yeah, you got to understand. Yeah, that's 30 and 100. That's 35 and 100 walking out the lineup that ain't coming back until probably, mid-June?
Yeah, in my opinion, I kind of feel like this next like 10 to like 15 game stretch. And I know Francisco Alvarez is going to be out for longer, right? But I want to see. We know what they've done, as you can see, 12 out of their last 15 games. They just wrapped up a 6-game winning streak, as I mentioned. But I'd like to see how they look for the next like 2 weeks, just to kind of see. I don't expect them to maintain, the productivity that they've been doing lately, but can they be in between that, right? Or are they going to automatically go back to the team that started the year 0-5? Which I hope not. Please don't do that.
Listen, it's not even about maintaining. For me, it's about going to the ballpark every day and realizing this is one game. Each game you want to go 1-0. Yes, it's 162 games. I get it. But in the position they're in, it's about survival till you get the big guy back.
Yeah.
Till you get Alvarez back. Till Pete starts hitting at another level. Till, you know what I'm saying? It's about survival right now if you're a Met fan.
Right.
And they've survived so far. Now, not today, but they survived so far.
Yeah, they didn't survive today at all. 10-zip. No shade to them, but that was the final score, guys, if you didn't watch the game.
Yeah.
But let's get into some of these comments here about this segment. Rick says the season is long. Don't leap into happiness just yet. Exactly. Good point. Let's see. The 20-game increments view is interesting, right? Let's see. There's no pressure for the team to succeed, but the 1-year deals help motivate them. Yeah,
I agree.
Plus, a lot of guys are looking to get paid more, especially with how this past offseason turned out. I don't think a lot of guys are happy with what they had to settle for.
Nope.
They might have too many veterans. Good to have them, but I think the Mets have too many. That changes, though, over the next 2 seasons. Possible. And we also got Ray here. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Emilio. No more pitchers to those 300 innings. Oh, hell no. We will never see that again. I don't care how good of a pitcher you are. We will never see that again.
There's a better chance of me walking and you regaining sight before somebody throws 300 innings.
Right. All right, so on to our next topic. Jack Leiter, the son. For those of you who don't know too much about like where certain players come from and if they've ever had like a relative play the sport, for those who don't know, Jack Leiter was finally called up and unfortunately sent back down, which doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. Jack Leiter, the son of former Major League Baseball pitcher Al Leiter, finally made his debut. Rough start, 7 runs in 3 2/3, and I don't know why the Rangers had to mess with his confidence. I know he's definitely gonna get called up again at some point, but damn, I would have given him at least 3 starts, man, not 1 and done.
So here's what I'm gonna say as we look at some, Jack Leiter. Here's what I'm gonna say about this. And listen, my thought process is simple, right? I don't like it strictly because you need starting pitching. Like, and this guy, yes, he's going to struggle at the big league level. I'm fully prepared for him to struggle at the big league level. You got to remember, this kid's 22 years old. But let's just point out, for argument's sake, as we look at him pitch, he's going to get better. This is not something that he's just it's going to leave him. He doesn't know what he's doing. He knows what he's doing out there. He definitely knows how to work the count. The guy is, I would say, he was born to do this job. Paint pellet 98 down at the knees. Go by. See you later. Right? Like, the guy knows what he's doing. And what I took away from this, right? What I took away from this is you see his proud papa right there, Mr. Al Leiter. What I took away from Jack's start was this. We can all see that he knows what he's doing. We can all see, like, listen, the most important thing for me was I was seeing him set up hitters, right? He would go fastball. Then he would throw a 3-2 change, or he would throw a curveball in a spot where you would think, I think he's going to throw me a fastball, right?
Right.
It's just throwing the pitches with conviction, not just throwing them to say that you threw them, but throwing them with a certain level of, yo, you're not hitting this. Just be prepared to grab some pine because you're getting K'd. You know what I'm saying? And that's the swagger you gotta walk in with, because these guys can all hit 98. These guys can all hit velocity. So velocity is not gonna bother them like it would, minor leaguer who's never really had to deal with that before. These guys get all geared up to hit 98. If you're not throwing 98 now, it's almost like they don't know what to do.
Yeah, they think something's wrong with you.
You know what I mean? 92, 93. What? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So my whole thing is like, I even want him to dial it back, if that makes sense. If 98 is not easy for you to control, how about we throw 95, 96?
Mm-hmm.
You know it's back there when you need it, but dial the changeup back to about 85. Get it so there's a 10-mile-an-hour difference between your fastball and your off speed. Like, you ever heard the analogy, put the hitter in a rocking chair? Because he doesn't know whether to go back or forward. He's just like, hold on. Wait,
right.
I'm on a roller coaster ride. Help me out.
That's a good point. You know why? Because nowadays, with how hard pitchers throw, their off-speed pitches look like fastballs. You got guys who throw triple digits, and they've got like a slider or a changeup that's like 92, 95. And it's like, yo, well, goddamn, you might as well just throw your fastball every time.
Right. So I guess the thing for me is like, okay, now, and this is why I had a problem with him being sent down. And I want to know what you think about this. Him being sent down to me is a clear signal that the Rangers don't know how to help him quite yet.
Right.
And that's crazy to say, because you got Bruce Bochy, you got Mike Maddox, you got all these experienced people in that organization. By the way, their GM, Chris Young, he was a pitcher.
I remember, for the team as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So you would think, yo, you know what? Let's just let him go through some growing pains. We're good enough right now where even if he struggles, we want to see him continue to grow and get better at the big league level. Now, maybe their thought process is we don't want to see him struggle at the big league level. And also, too, there might be an innings limit on him. So maybe if he gets to a certain number of innings, we might have to pull the plug before we want to.
Yeah, and the thing that we see nowadays in baseball too, Steph, and I'm glad you brought that up, it doesn't matter how good you are. If you come up, you could be one of the best pitchers in baseball, even though you got called up recently, you're going to be put on an innings limit because no team wants a guy having their arm fall off within the first year of being called up. Like, I get it. It makes sense. Like, as much as you want to see guys do their best and have throw all these innings, go deep into ball games, you kind of can't allow that because it's like slowly tarnishing like something that may not gonna happen right away, but at some point will happen. So why not slow it down rather than speed up the process? And when I say that, you know exactly what I'm referring to, Stefan.
Right. So I'm gonna say this. I disagree with you. Off the rip, I disagree with you in this sense.
So you're against the innings limit. You think guys should just go.
They're going to blow it out anyway.
Okay.
What the hell? Listen, didn't we do this with Jabba Chamberlain? Didn't we do this with Matt Harvey? Didn't the Nationals do this with Strasburg? Right. What ended up happening? They ended up needing Tommy John anyway. If you're gonna blow out your arm, blow it out at the big league level.
That's a good point.
It doesn't matter. Like, we can't determine what's gonna cause a guy to get hurt. All we know is that it's gonna happen. The sad eventuality is that I would say close to 80% of the starting pitchers that are in the big leagues are probably gonna go through some form of elbow trouble at some point in their careers.
Yeah, it's like a ticking time bomb.
I'd rather you be like, you know what? Whatever bullets you got left to throw them at the big league level, and we'll deal with the ramifications later.
Let it loose.
Yeah, all this, we want to preserve his innings, and we don't want him to get hurt. If he's gonna get hurt, he's gonna get hurt.
Right. Look at. We talked about this a couple of weeks back. Look at what the Marlins did. Was it last season with Yuri Perez? And now he's out.
Right. Speaking of the Marlins, my God, are we about to get into something that? Oh my God. When I read this, and when I sent you guys the link, I wanted to punch somebody in the head.
Yeah.
Little, I wanted to commit violence against somebody for what I just read. That headline had to be like, this is not real. Right. We're not doing this. But at some point, just let him pitch, bro. Let him feel what it's like to be a big leaguer, getting on the mound every 5 days, putting his body through the paces, getting himself mentally prepared to pitch. If he's gonna get hurt, you can't stop injury. You can't be like, now scale back. No, throw more. You know how you get your body.
Man, let me find out. You're part of the problem.
You know what? I might be. Let me ask you a question. There wasn't this many Tommy Johns in the 90s.
No, there wasn't.
You know why? Because they threw.
Right.
And they threw a lot. And they ran.
I feel like there was a time. And I really don't know when the cutoff point was, but for a very long time, I think, pitchers threw, and not to discredit guys who, play Major League Baseball nowadays, but once upon a time, pitchers threw with meaning. Pitchers threw with not just, hey, I have a really hard fastball, try to hit this. No, it was, here's my fastball at maybe 95 max those days, maybe a bit slower, right? But then again, you had guys like Randy Johnson and others, but then you had guys like a Roy Halladay, a Greg Maddux, who they threw all these different types of pitches, but they knew how to locate. They knew exactly where to put the freaking ball every time they wanted to.
All right, we're going to school. I'm pulling up a breakdown. We're going to school. Let's go to school, kids. Hold on. You mentioned them. We're going to talk about it.
Instead of like Kenny says, let's go home. Let's go to school, baby. Let's go to school.
Let's go to school, kids. We're going to school right now. This is a school day, right? Because we could sit here and talk about it and explain it and what we think, but how about we just show you what we're trying to say, right? Instead of us just talking about it, let's be about it. So, like you mentioned, Roy Halladay. Roy Halladay is your guy. For most people that don't know,
my favorite pitcher of all time.
Before there was Marcus Stroman, there was a Roy Halladay, right? Because we all know Ivan loves Stroh. Stroh has become my guy by default because Ivan is my guy. So I've adopted Stroh as my dude, and I fully respect what Stroh does on the mound. But you want to talk about the doctor at work? Look at this thing. 78, right? And look, back in the days, guys, they weren't afraid to pitch inside. Look at that. 93 dotted on the dotted. Look at that. 91 dotted. Right? 92 dotted.
Nothing overpowering.
Right?
Not doing too much.
We're pitching out here, guys. Look at that. Bang. Inside. Got him. See you later.
I feel like I'm at a museum right now.
You know what I'm saying? Look at that. Look, paint palette. Go sit down.
I feel like I'm at a museum right now that has beautiful artwork on the walls.
You know what I'm saying? Yo. And when somebody says, but why is it different? And why is it? No, it's different because we always like to make an excuse as to why things aren't the way they are. Right? Roy Halladay and Greg Maddux are the two perfect examples. You don't have to throw hard to get pitchers out at the big league level. You know who's another guy in the modern day that I love to watch pitch, and he barely gets over 93? Look at Nestor Cortez.
Right.
Barely gets over 93, but you watch him, and it's like, yo, these hitters are baffled. They don't know what to do. They're like, hold up, how do we hit this dude? Help.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Over 95 plus. This is unheard of.
Like, what am I doing? Wait. You know what I'm saying? And you look at guys like that, and you wonder why those guys have extended careers, because max effort doesn't exist to those guys. It's an art to them. You just seen what Roy Halladay did. He set you up all speed, and then he was throwing inside with 93. Right? You can be effective at 93 if you locate. See, you mentioned the word earlier. Location. Pitching is like real estate. The plate is 17 inches long.
Right.
You have 17 inches to figure out this is prime real estate for a pitcher. If I get it in the middle, there's a lot of traffic. I don't want to be in the part where there's a lot of traffic. The up and down, that's like you're still in the city, but you're on the far edges.
Right.
Of the city.
Like you said, Stefan, you want to mess with eye level, and then going back to your point a few minutes ago when you referenced, rocking back and forth.
Right.
But definitely, I mean, keeping the ball low is always what you want to do, especially being a Major League Baseball player, because anything high sometimes is just not a good thing. But if you're able to sneak it in and hit the right spot, you don't got to worry about throwing it high, because they don't know what's going to happen. They don't know where to expect where the ball is going to be pitched to.
Right.
So they might be able to predict the speed, but because a pitcher, let's say in this case, is great at location, like you said, Stefan, you're going to have people off balance. Just because you have a fastball that is 102, 103, that doesn't mean a damn thing.
So let me ask you, all right, we're going to leave this topic because I want to get to the next thing, which really pissed me off. But you know who was a guy that I enjoyed watching? You remember Cliff Lee?
Yes.
Cliff Lee barely got over 95. Cliff Lee stood between 92 and 94.
Another great pitcher.
But Cliff Lee was nasty because he would hit you with, all right, 0-1, I'm throwing you a changeup. 0-2, I might hit you with a splitter. Yeah. And then when you least expect it, I'm throwing a two-seamer, dotting it under your hands, and you're done. It's the most hopeless feeling in the world.
Right.
Or if he was feeling froggy, he might hit you with a pink pellet at 93 at your knees. Right? And you're just like, all right, how do I hit this? What are we doing? Like, come on, help.
This is going a little far back, but could you imagine if that Indians team stayed with CC, Cliff Lee remained, Grady Sizemore didn't fizzle out, Travis Hafner, Victor Martinez. You remember those guys? Could you imagine if that thing worked out, over the long haul?
And here's what I'm going to tell you, right? I think the other thing is they took care of their bodies better, fellas. They ran. They didn't say, yo, in between starts, I'm going to just chill. I still remember watching Andy Pettitte run stadium steps. Clayton Kershaw still does this in between starts. No matter where they are on the road, he runs.
Yeah.
Right? So people are like, oh, but why are you running? What does that mean? Because the first thing to go when you're tired is your lower half. Right? Jeff Nelson said today, a couple weeks ago on the broadcast, shout out to Jeff Nelson, the reliever. He said he used to run. The first 2 weeks of spring training, that's all they did. They ran. And they ran a lot.
Yeah, I remember growing up and playing baseball. A lot of pitchers, they would always say something that they do the most is running. A whole lot of running. Yeah, I didn't get it when I was younger, but I do get it now.
And you know what's the problem, man? Everything is just yo, max effort. Right? A guy like Justin Verlander, when he was in Detroit, you knew he had max effort, but he was coming out first inning, 95, 94, and he would lull you to sleep. So you're like, all right, I can hit this dude. By the time we got to the sixth inning, he's 99 at neck.
I remember. You know
what I'm saying?
And that's exactly why he won an MVP and a Cy Young while with the Tigers.
Because there comes a point in time where it's almost like it's backwards now. You see hitters now setting up pitchers. Like a hitter will swing for a pitch that's like 4 feet outside. And then if you try to sneak a fastball by him, His hands are so quick that he's like, "Oh, you thought you were gonna get that by me? There you go, see ya." Right? Where the pitchers no longer have the advantage. To me, it feels like in the modern baseball, I think it's so much geared to offense that the pitcher suffers. At least I think so. Speaking of suffering, somebody want to tell the Miami Marlins what they did was freaking stupid. So I read this story, right? It's on MLB.com. It's in The Athletic. It's everywhere. I read the story and I said, they're sending their number 3 prospect down? Is we're doing this right now? Are you kidding me?
Who looked really good for them in 3 starts, by the way.
But pull up those numbers for me, bro.
Yeah, looking at it right now.
He
pitched in 3 games that he started for the Marlins. He threw 17 innings, 14 strikeouts, 2.12 ERA.
Right. I don't know. I really here's the thing that I'm flabbergasted by. Help me out, Ivan. Look at those numbers you just read.
Mm-hmm.
That's filthy.
Right.
That's
and
disgusting.
It's crazy too because we talked about it. I'd say at least once or twice this far on the show. The Marlins are dealing with a lot of injuries, especially to their starting pitchers.
You know why?
And for this to happen, where you have a guy who is looking as good as ever as he should, I should say, right? And then it's like, wait, no. Like we don't want this. Not yet.
Right.
It's crazy. Jack Leiter goes down. I get it. He has a rough start, which it makes sense. Even though it would have been good to see him pitch maybe 3, 4, 5 more times, but in this case, we're talking about a guy, Max Meyer, who did the complete opposite. Even he's getting sent down. So it's like, how do you win?
You don't win, right? Their whole thing is they don't want to risk injury. He only threw 111 innings. I think was the most he's thrown in his career. Was 111 innings, right? They say you can extend a pitcher between 40 and 50 innings per season before you hit the danger zone.
Right.
If the Marlins aren't making the playoffs, right, and you get him to 150 innings by, let's say, the middle of August, you can shut him down if you so choose to. If you're really afraid of that danger zone, then shut him down. If that's what you feel like you need to do to protect him from himself, I understand that. But the only way you're going to get him to believe in himself, because if you're Max Meyer, you're sitting down there at AAA going, yo, what did I do wrong?
Exactly.
What did I do wrong? Why is this happening to me? Even if they told him in advance this was going to happen, which would be stupid if they did.
Right.
And according to Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic, the GM told him like this was going to be a thing that they do. Right.
He'll come up, send him back down, come up, go back down.
This is nauseating to me. Right. Speaking of the article, we're going to pull it up right here because I want you guys to see.
And if I would have put myself in the shoes of any prospect, right? But in this case, Max Meyer, when you get that call, you're thinking of all the right things that you should be doing in order to stay afloat. And what I mean by afloat is to be able to maintain your roster position at the major league level. And he did exactly that. He checked off all the boxes.
So this is this quote is just stupid to me, right? Where let's just read the quote together as one big 27-ounce family. Ivan, read where you see where the cursor is.
Yeah.
Start from where this quote is, and let's just break down what the hell he just said, because I'm dumbfounded.
All right. Something has to give. We're starting there, right?
Yeah.
All right. Something has to give, said Marlins general manager. We spent a full 3 different meetings of an hour each talking this through. Kind of talking ourselves in circles because we didn't have an obvious, oh, yes, just do this type of solution that we felt great about.
So, okay. That right there is the first sign where you go, ding, 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 motherfucker. What are you doing? If you don't feel great about it, then why is this even a thing?
Exactly.
Why are you playing hopscotch with this kid's career? Do you feel like you see, and this is the thing. For me, it's all financial. This is all financial. There's nothing about this that's fair. There's nothing about this that's right. Nothing about this makes sense. Here's the other thing, right? Forget about how we feel, right? Because how we feel, we're fans at the end of the day, and people don't really care about how we feel because we're always going to be looked at as fans, right? But my problem is when you look at this quote right here, there's not a specific number of innings in mind, but there is a number where I would say, oh, that seems irresponsible.
Right, that's contradicting. There isn't a number, but there is one.
Right. So which one is it?
Exactly.
Is it we really have a number that we don't want to exceed just because we know in our head if we hit this number, that would be detrimental to him? Then tell the player what the number is. Also, how do you explain to the players in your clubhouse that you plan, that you respect, that you're trying to cultivate relationships with, that you're trying to build with? How do you explain to them, yo, this is why we're doing this. This is why this was done. If it's all about winning, how do you make that statement?
And that's discouraging too. Like as a player, you're playing your ass off in AAA as you should to finally get the call up to the show.
Right.
And it's like nowadays as a player, you're thinking, man, is it even worth it? They're going to send me back down anyway.
But here's the thing, right? Like, then why'd you let him see the big leagues anyway? Do you understand, Ivan? He came up last year, he had 82 days of service time. You know what happens? Where if he hits a certain number of service time, he's eligible for Super 2 status.
Right.
I'm quickly going to explain what that means. I swear, it's not hard. When you hit a certain number of innings, it's a certain criteria. Innings, strikeouts, and I think earned run averaged over an extended period of time, you automatically become eligible for Super 2, which includes also All-Star consideration, right? The kid's that good where he probably would have hit Super 2 in his first 2 years in the big leagues. Right. You know why they stopped that? I'll tell you why. He becomes a free agent in 6 years instead of 7. So instead of me losing him in his 6th year, we're going to stop him from being eligible for Super 2, which means he doesn't get the benefits of becoming a free agent a year earlier. Hence what the Brewers did with Josh Hader.
It's a damn shame. Imagine stopping somebody after they do their job and you're stopping them from everything that they deserve.
It's disgusting, man. And then you wonder why these players are looking at the players are looking at you going, hold up. You want me to take you seriously? This is supposed to be a two-way street, and yet behind the scenes, you're trying to stab me in the back because you want to save a couple dollars?
Yeah, it's like holding up a stop sign when a guy is ready to get paid, and you're like, nah, you actually can't come down this block. You got one more year. It ain't 6, it's 7 because of what we did purposely too.
It's crazy, and honestly, you don't blame Max Meyer for being pissed. You feel for him and all, but he's a professional and he's getting paid a lot of money, and why does that matter at this point? Like, it's almost like telling your kid, yo, you got a great report card, right? You've done everything we've asked you to do. You've got every single A. You've passed every class, but we're going to send you down because we can't control our emotions, and we might do something stupid as an organization.
You know what's coming at some point, right? And this isn't something that we're going to see very often, because to do what I'm about to say, you got to have some balls.
Right.
Like you got to have the confidence in your ability and your skills, and you got to have tunnel vision in terms of being able to see what you provide now, but even what you will provide moving forward. But it would not surprise me if, listen, I'm not saying it's going to happen this year, right? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. It can happen whenever, but I feel like we're going to have that one guy who gets called up, plays his ass off, gets sent down, and, after that last game that he plays before he goes down to AAA again, he's going to have that post-game interview, and he's going to be like, yo, you know what? Fuck whatever organization it is that sent them down, because it's going to be like, listen, I'm here to do my job. I fulfilled my responsibilities as whatever it is that you've expected me to do. Why the hell are you sending me down? I can see it happening. Players are going to get fed up.
I'm going to tell you this right now. You know what this this is going to cause? One is definitely going to cause a lockout. I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. Lockout coming. Two, there's going to be a freedom of movement clause in baseball. All this 10-year deal to stay with one team, what good is a 10-year deal when you're going to tell me where I can and where I can't go, how many innings I could throw, how many innings I can't throw? Nah, dude. 5-year deal. I'm good. Whatever the money is, the money is. Because at this point, I just want the freedom to be able to play and be the best that I can be. You can't stifle these players. It's unfair, man. And that's why baseball's stuck in the mud in terms of popularity.
Yeah, I feel like those long-term deals, obviously, for a lot of players, that's like your biggest payday. That's what you're looking for. That's what you work so hard for throughout the years. But there comes a time when I feel like Major League Baseball clubs give those kind of deals in a way to have control. They want to be able to have full control over this guy for the, who knows, 8 to 10 years, right? I mean, that's how long some of these lucrative deals go for. But yeah, it's I get it. A lot of players, when they do sign that kind of money, they really don't want to end up having to go elsewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Hence why they sign for that long, for that amount. Right. But I think teams also see it as a benefit in their favor, because it's like, yo, listen, especially if there's no opt-out clauses too. Like if you don't have that, like, you are screwed.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to put it. And when you don't have the ability and the freedom to do what to be your best self, that's gonna hinder you, man. It's gonna hinder you. And it sucks that we gotta have this conversation as much as we do nowadays. But that was fun, guys. 2 topics, short, sweet, to the point. You know what I mean? We don't want to keep
before we go, we are wrapping up, as Stefan said. One last time, make sure you follow us on Instagram at 27outs3C. We mentioned it earlier in today's show, but if you weren't here early on, one last reminder, bonus content coming out on Tuesday. Tuesday, bonus content. So you got today's episode, whether you're watching it live right now, whether you're watching it after the fact, but you're getting 2 for the price of 1 this week. So enjoy the hell out of it. Shout out to you guys for actually getting that last video that we uploaded regarding the Astros and whether they're a playoff team or not. We got to, I think, over 100 views in 3 days. Yeah. So shout out to you guys. You want to show some of these comments really quickly before
Let's do it, bro. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's see. I don't know where we left off. Let me see. Steve. Oh, yeah. Shout out to Steve, by the way. This is one of my boys who I grew up with.
What's up, bro?
Shout out to him.
Thank you for checking
Rick says the thumbnail for this episode is already done. Energy is up, y'all. I love it. Hell yeah, the energy is up. Orange and blue skies. Let me stop. Yo, Rick, make sure that shit is orange and blue skies. Now I'm joking. Do you give Soto the MVP right now?
No, not yet.
As he's my pick.
Not yet.
This was before the season began, so
not yet. By the way, we're gonna do. I agree with you. We're gonna do this, guys. So, at some point in the near future, right? We're gonna give you the option to pick a topic that you want us to talk about on the show. Right. However, in order for you to do that, here's what I'm gonna need you to do. If you can help us get to 100 subscribers, you guys get the option to pick one of the topics on the show. We will put up a poll on Instagram, and you will decide which topic you like more. But
right. Great idea.
It has to be, we have to be at 100 subscribers. So we're at 81 right now. The march to 100 is going to continue. You guys are on the clock. If you want to help us shape the show, this is how you do it.
I love that. And here's the thing too. I think this is important as well, because we want to make it fair. So we might, I don't know, put up a poll on our IG, which is why you should be following us on Instagram. When we get to 100 subscribers, as Stefan just mentioned, we'll do that. But we'll put up maybe like 3 or 4 different topics.
There you go.
Where we allow you guys to sort of pick between those options.
Yeah, you go
and
vote.
Whichever one has the highest percentage wins.
Yeah, and you gotta vote. Because if you don't vote, hey yo.
Hey yo, come on, no Diddy. You gotta have the no Diddy part, bro.
If you don't vote, if you don't vote, then we're just gonna pick a topic like we always do. And what's the fun in that? So help us shape.
Andy Petty's the same. Oh yeah, Andy Petty. You know, he was. I didn't mention him, Emilio, but yeah, he was in my mind. He definitely was.
So guys, this was fun.
All right, yeah, let's wrap up. We told you guys every goddamn thing that you needed to know up until the next episode, which will be episode 10. But hold on really quickly, Stefan, before we go. Next week, when we come back here at 8 on Sunday, how are you going to feel as a New Yorker?
I'm going to feel great because I got Juan Soto and Aaron Judge on my team. I don't know about the team in Queens, but I'm going to feel great.
And we're going to leave him with that.
You know what I mean? Borough Kings out here.